Playing 11 of Milestone's Moto GP games in one video. This is going to be a slightly long one. Get a drink of your choice and get comfortable. So, Moto GP 13, Milestone's first full Moto GP game by themselves. Must say, this game had things that the new ones don't have that make a game feel a bit more special. We see here now in the multimedia section, pictures and videos. As you go through the game and unlock stuff, you unlock pictures and videos from the previous season as you level up. New games don't have anything like this, and it just adds a little bit of something. Also, we have this lovely pit interface here in the pit box. You have your engineer to your left, your timing screen to your right, you have your mechanics and your bikes right in front of you. Lovely bit of immersion. I just feel a lot of modern games are just a bit kind of cold and have these kind of tiled menus, and they're just lacking a bit of energy and a bit of something. And I think going back to this, where you're in the helmet, you turn to your left to talk to the engineer and stuff, it's just a nice little throwback. And I think sometimes the older games got these a bit better than what we have in the current era. Graphically dated, can't lie really. It was on Milestone's own in-house engine. 13 to 17 was all on Milestone's in-house engine. They made progression over the year, and by the end of it, it wasn't too bad, but the graphic fidelity jumped from 17 to 18 when they got onto the Unreal Engine 4. It was massive. And yeah, physics, again, not too bad. Overall, decent game. We had a decent bit of content on this. You had all of the season up to 2013, so Moto 3, Moto 2 and Moto GP, as well as the 2012 riders, which is actually quite a cool feature that I kind of wish more games would do. A lot of Milestone's games in the first few years had this, where they give you last year's one, which always nice, because just gives a bit more content in the game, a bit more replayability. And again, playing these Moto 2 bikes, I actually really enjoy these. The physics on these, when you don't have massive power, the heavier GP bikes with more power didn't hold up as well to the test of time. But I must say, this Moto 2 bike here I'm riding around Indianapolis, a lot of fun. I really say MotoGP 13 was a very good game for its time. Now, unfortunately, MotoGP 14 for me has been incredibly awkward to record. First off, I couldn't get it to record. Second off, I've not been able to get any audio regardless what I've done. So unfortunately, you're going to have to listen to my sweet voice. I also couldn't turn off the track guided trajectory. This game just did not want to play ball at all. This was the first one where we got these kind of real classic modes where you get to go back and do historic events. Really cool, adds a lot of playability to the game. And you can see here as we start off with Valentino in Qatar. So in Qatar in 2013, they do show a little clip at the start as well of it happening, but for copyright I haven't shown it. But basically at turn 1, Valentino goes for a bit of a risky move, goes past 2 people off the track and then rejoins in P7, and then they give the objective to get back up. We also had this BMW M safety car. Now, it handled like a boat on the moon, but still, again, I praise Milestone for their content. I must say the actual game itself wasn't particularly amazing. I felt like they maybe went the wrong way with the physics this year from 13. I prefer 13 over it. The menus weren't as good, but again, we still have the multimedia section and stuff like that, and we got last year's bike. So again, very much the first few were kind of copy and paste with new skins and slight changes, but at the time that wasn't really groundbreakingly wrong by any matter of the means. So in fairness to them, they did decent. It looks a bit better this one, I think, a bit more colourful, a bit more just more natural. I think each year they make incremental steps, which overall just makes the games feel newer and more up to date as we go through the list. But overall, 14 wasn't my favourite, but it was a decent game. Now 15, now this is where basically this YouTube channel would have practically begun, because this is where I started doing league racing, got into really pushing myself and getting quick at these games. We have the beat the time, which you basically get a random bike, you go to a different track and just set a lap time and try and beat the time. Like, look at this crystal clear picture of Valet. Again, more real events from last year. So we do the 2014 season, out throughout the season it gives you different events to do. Really fun. Again, the physics were a little bit janky in this game. This is where the animation, I know a lot of you will note, where you just see Darren almost at it with the rear slides, and you kind of have a little moment where he sometimes jumps off the side of the bike. Very present in this. Again, the lighting and the shading this was much improved, and the physics were kind of the same but a little bit pushed on over the year. But again, this is where I started racing in RRL, so Robo 46's racing league, and eventually raced against some of the guys I still race today on GP bikes on that. And that was a real learning curve, and just really into the world of online racing and stuff. And to be honest, that is exactly where if you look at where my channel is now, go all the way back to day one, it would have been on this game, joined that league, because Rob was pretty new to YouTube at the time, and he only had 1,000 subs, and I joined, and there was some real fast guys in there, and that was such a massive learning curve for me in that one. And overall, I just hold this game quite high, just because of what I remember of it. Again, physics, not amazing. Between 13, 14, 15, they're kind of the same, just slight tweaks, but overall, a decent game. Now, Valentino Rossi the game, this is the first one where Milestone started pushing the boat out. First off, beautiful menus. We got so much content because it was down to the Rossi marketing. So you can see we got the ranch, we got R1Ms at Misano, which you'll see in a second, and we got pretty much every bike Valentino's ever rode in his life. We got loads of extra just content in the game that if you compare it to what we get now, this game had everything. And I must say, color wise, graphic wise, this is one of the better ones on the in-house engine. Unfortunately, audio never really was that good until 17, which is the next game in the list, and just overall it just lacked a small, but it was a bit peaky, a bit weird and twitchy. However, they did the audio for 17, which we'll get to second, was way better. But I must say, the Moto GP 16 or VRTG was just, at the time, brilliant. It had a bit of everything, even had rally cars. It was such a cool one. You got to live the life of a VR46 Academy rider. You had the Wikipedia of Rossi, you had every single bike throughout the years, 125s, 250s, 500s, and 4-strokes. It was just full to the brim of content. It just makes you kind of just feel a bit sad about the current ones, because they're such a shell of what they have been in the past. It just shows that Milestone can do these, and they went above and beyond. Got so many licenses. We got some classic tracks as well. You can see here now with official livery, there's helmets throughout the years, and you have these Rossi points you can buy them with. Just overall a really fun, good game. So many different modes. Beat the Doctor, where Rossi had set a time, you go with a bike and you try and beat him. Here we are on the 2012, I think, yeah, 2012 Ducati at Le Mans. So obviously he got a podium that day in the wet, but they were just part of the challenges. And again, here we are inside Misano on a flat track. Overall, one of the best of their own in-house engines. Physics wasn't amazing again, but it made a step. But just a brilliant game nonetheless. Now, MotoGP 17, just maybe 6-7 months before the release of this, they announced they were going and switching to the Unreal Engine 4. So when this game got announced and it wasn't on the Unreal Engine 4, I was actually a little bit disappointed, just for the fact that I thought just again another game on their own in-house engine. Thankfully, a lot of the content from Valentino Rossi the game transferred over from 16 to 17. A lot of it was just ported across, which was good, which means the game was full of content. We had plenty to do on the game, and it just kind of made the game again have a bit more replayability. Physics kind of the same as Rossi, again very slight changes from playing 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 back to back. They all share the very core 95% same physics, just slight tweaks on top. This one made a beautiful step because they went from, on console, 30 FPS to 60 FPS. They really got the most out of their engine for the final year, and I must say I just really enjoyed this one because the audio was so much better. Whatever they managed to do with their own in-house engine, they just got so much more out of everything, and this was probably their best of their bike games. Maybe not for all the stuff they had in the Rossi game, but in terms of just a good racing game, this is probably the best they managed of their own in-house engine. And even to this day, I don't think they've reached the heights of what they managed for 17, because again, graphically this doesn't look too bad. Unfortunately, until we get to the Unreal Engine, the tracks never make the jump, like the Codemaster games, for example. And just overall, the audio in this pretty good. These Moto 2 bikes, the Moto 3 bikes, a lot of 4-stroke sounded quite nice, and the GP bike. So it was just one of the games where they finally got everything kind of together and in line. We also got this thing here, co-op season. Basically did a season with a partner. It was like 5 rounds, and again you can see a lot of the content has been brought forward. So again, there was a lot of content to be used on the game. We got all the Rossi stuff brought forward, which is good. So again, MotoGP 17, I really hold it as one of the best games, probably in my top 3 all-time GP games, just because it had content, it looked good, sounded good, played well, and on console it was just a lot of fun. Now unfortunately, this is where the graph of growing goes dramatically down. GP18, the first on the Unreal Engine, and I must say, massive hype for this. All the reveal trailers and the trailers made this game look like it was amazing, and graphically it's made a huge jump, huge. Fortunately, the physics just were not there. Bikes were floaty, the front end was non-existent. I don't think it was in the game. It was just really weird physics wise. I didn't enjoy it. So the big jump they made, so the environment looks amazing, but because they've somehow made the track so much more detailed, there's so many more ripples that the bike just bounces everywhere. You'll probably see it, especially here in the clips at Turn Mastery Honda. When you go through turn 1 and 2, the bike is just G'ing out and bottoming out everywhere. It's just so bouncy, and it's just like, if you look at Evan front, just kind of ebbing and flowing and bouncing. Just wasn't it. Career mode, you couldn't ride as your own rider unless you were riding for a team. In career mode, is just it was kind of like F1 2014, where there's a lot of weird decisions, and for me, it just, as much as it sounded good, looked good, just was a bit flat for me. It just didn't enjoy this one. I just never gelled with the physics, and that leads us on now to MotoGP 19, which was a good step. We got a lot of these menus back here where we have the classic rides, where you do some classic rides against rain. You can see we got this little clip in the intro here. I won't shoot too much because I don't get copyright. You get to go and do some of the old challenges as well. Physics made a big leap. Now, there was still an inherent issue. You might notice that the rear of the bike's just twitching around, so every time you'd lean over fully in, the front would tuck, the rider would counter, and you'd have just kind of just wobble through the game. And on this one, for me, the way the fast boys went past was just sliding the rear around there. It was like Speedway. Never really liked it that much, but I must say, this game, I got a bit of enjoyment out of this. I did enjoy this. It was a good attempt. I also tried to go back league racing on this game from a couple of reasons, didn't work out, but up until 16 and 17 I was league racing. 18 because I didn't like the game, went away from league racing because I just didn't want to. I think did some other games at that point, but 19 we came back to doing leagues. Unfortunately didn't get to do it on this game, but yeah, it was a decent enough game that I could actually put time into it and enjoy it. Still had flaws and probably wasn't the most rounded game that we've had, but the physics had just come back enough, and the AI were okay. It was decent enough, but just still a little bit missing. Just it never, since they moved to the Unreal Engine, there's been very few games that have just managed to get it right, and 19 was one of those games where it had definitely made a step from 18, but wasn't really what I thought I was going to get my hands on when I got it. I really thought it was a bit better, but it was still a good step over 18. Now, MotoGP 20 is widely regarded as the best MotoGP game, hands down, and unfortunately I completely disagree. So first off, this historic mode was piss poor. They gave you a couple of random events and then you get points to unlock bikes, but you only have a select amount of bikes. It looked good, I must say. Looking back on it now, the game did make it another step, and graphics was really colourful. This one, very high saturation. I do like the overlays on screen, the HUD and stuff, but the physics were just not nice. A lot of people hold this so good in their memory, and when the game launched, before they patched it, physics were good. I'll give them that. That's what a lot of people have in their head, that they think that the physics still are like this. If you go back and play it now, it just doesn't really, it's not that nice. It's kind of different to 19, but has its same flaws and just weirdness. You can see there again, rear grip it's just weird. The bike's rev weird. There's some weird rev hang in the throttle where you feel like you're on the limiter, but you're only at like, you're not even at red line yet. So it's just, there's some weird stuff going on with this game that when I went back and played that I didn't enjoy it. And I would have said GP20 would have been one of the best ones over the years, because this is when I did go back racing in Robbo's Racing League. This one I nearly won the league in 2020, obviously would have been. This game had some serious online issues where online people would lag back into you. So if you were behind someone, they'd lag straight back into you. Happened to me 7 or 8 times. I lost the title by about 20 points. I would have won the title because of it, so that would have been my third Robbo's Racing League title. But anyway, that's a story for another day. Physics were decent. They brought in the first of the kind of stoppies that we have now, where the bike, you could go full brake pretty much in every other game without getting a stoppie. This is the first one where you have to start modulating the throttle or the brake just to not have a massive moment. They started in 18 bringing in the electronics, and slowly but surely we're getting more and more in depth in the form of anti-wheelie traction and engine braking. And this is the first one where we had fuel, so you could run out of fuel. And yeah, it was decent, but it didn't come close to 21. Now, if you've watched my channel for a long time, you'll know 2021, absolutely goated game. And to be honest, this is only confirmed for me going back and playing it, because I was a little bit unsure. Playing 20, would I feel like it's not as good as 21? There's just so much feeling from this game. Now, the rear end, you'll see in turn 1, it's a bit lively, it's a bit snappy, and into a couple of corners when I got on the brakes, it kind of just snaps out of me a small bit. But if you kind of get a feeling for that and understand it, they turn in nicely. The bike does move around a bit on the braking, but I have so much feeling for what the rear and the front was doing on this game, and it was just such a good game. And this was where my channel really blew up, and I started getting big viewers when I came back. I stopped making YouTube videos in 16, came back in 21, and I really enjoyed it. We had a decent amount of content, a lot of classic bikes and stuff, and again, it was pretty fun. So again, this kind of had everything for me. Now, it wasn't as good as if we go back to the older games for content and challenge modes and stuff, but I still must say, in terms of just good, fun physics, and this is another game I tried to league race, but the connectivity online on this with people all along the world on PC just wasn't good. There was a lot of weird issues, so I never fortunately got to really show what I could do on this game, because I was quite quick on this one, because this is one of the last ones that I really enjoyed playing and had a great time with, because just the physics were so good. Also, worth to note, halfway through the game, Cyclist GP Bikes launched on Steam, which is a big reason why I play more of that now than I do the Moto GP games. If GP Bikes never came to Steam, I probably would have played 22 and 23 a lot more, and probably a bit more sharp on the game than I am now. But that's just kind of the way things go. A better game came along, I got swayed, and to be fair, it was probably the perfect timing, because MotoGP 21 hit the nail on the head for me in terms of just physics, dry, wet, small bike, big bikes, everything. It just did it right, and I must say this is really one of the best games. So if you're looking to go back to this list and pick up a couple games, get MotoGP 21. You have been warned. Now, unfortunately, I actually got MotoGP 22 early for a week or two. I won a Discord competition in Milestones Discord, and when I got it, I really wanted to enjoy it because I got it early, and it was a big year for my YouTube channel. I had so much planned, and we got the 2009 season where we went back and replayed that, and that was a really good introduction. We also got the tutorial mode, where basically run you through the whole world of MotoGP, as long as this Academy mode, where basically shows you how to take the tracks, and really good for the game, good for newer players, and brilliant. But unfortunately, the physics in this game just let me down. There was some weird rev hang in braking, where if you brake and the rear wheel comes off the ground, the engine revs wouldn't drop, it would stay open, so it was like if the throttle open. So the bike came back down, it kind of kicked and went straight on. Also, heavy braking, you might have heard me on the modern games say that a lot of time when you're heavy braking, you get this feeling of the bike's immobilized, you can't move it, and it feels very random and stuff. This was the first game to incorporate that. That was a feature on this one. Other than that, the physics weren't too bad, but that turned me off it. Front end was weak as God knows what. It was just so weak that you couldn't trust it. After coming from MotoGP 21, you had such great feeling from the rear. You could understand the front, and I had such a great relationship with the front end on 21, that coming to this year's 22 and just losing all that feeling just really pushed me over the edge. And I even stopped playing this halfway through a cycle on my YouTube channel, making much more a GP Bikes channel. Now again, if you start to look at these games, they are looking quite good looking over the last couple of years. They really start to nail the Unreal Engine and really start to get it good. That was the kind of shame for me, because they were getting these games looking some of the best games on the market in terms of racing, for definitely for bikes, and the physics just weren't holding up, and that's what really let me down with 22. Now 23 came along, and I was really hoping that after making the mistake of 22, they'd find something for 23. And after my first 10 hours of playtime, I was happy with it, and then it just went again. This one was one of my worst for me. I hated the physics for so many reasons. The bike I just don't like this game. I just really cannot get a grip with this game. Never liked it, unfortunately. And this was nearly the end of MotoGP on my channel completely, because I think I managed like 8, 9, 10 episodes of career mode. Just couldn't deal with it. There was just so many things wrong with it. I just couldn't put up with it, and it was frustrating to play. And as a content creator, you need something that you can get on and you can just forget about and play and enjoy, and just focus on the video, instead of trying to be kind of dragging yourself through a play session to get content just because you want to get a video, instead of actually making videos on a game that you're enjoying playing. This one for me, again, graphically looks good, and the HUD is nice and stuff, and it just physics wise was killing me, and I never enjoyed it, because this was the first one where we got the right height device. It didn't work from launch, funnily enough. It made you slower, and again, we're getting these really in-depth higher models and stuff, so the game was getting better and better. We were getting in-depth career modes. I think the game was getting better, but the actual riding was getting worse, and I was getting so frustrated, and eventually went back to 21, and unfortunately I could never get into this one. But thankfully, when we got 24, I must say I enjoyed it, and I still do to this day. And I must say, to bring this video to an end, 23 minutes or so is where we end up. It's not too bad really in the grand scheme of things. I thought it'd be a lot longer, considering I was playing so many games, but through the editing process, a lot of B-roll and extra stuff I cut out to make the video kind of slick and enjoyable to watch. But 24 does lack a bit of what the older game has. It has really nice menus, in fairness. I love these pictures in the background. Physics are good, not amazing. There's still some weird flaws in them, but they're just good enough where I can enjoy it. They're still not GP21. GP21 is the best handling game for me on the modern day engine of Unreal Engine. This one for me is still quite good. It gives me good feeling. I can understand what's going on, and I can write to a decent level. Now, I never really, to be honest, my days of pushing the milestone MotoGP games, they're too imprecise. You just can't be precise for hundreds of hours. These days, if I want to be competitive, it's GP bikes for me. But I must say, just playing career mode on this game and for the first few weeks online and stuff, and pissing around with live GP at launch, it's fun. It was enjoyable. I got some good content out of it, and I'm still making content to this day on it. And just overall, it was a good game, and I'm still enjoying playing this. And when I jump on, it's still a bit of a, I have to kind of get my head around the game and kind of get into it. But it's not a chore to record. By the time I'm getting to the end of a GP race in career mode, I'm actually pushing on and enjoying it. Whereas for a lot of 22 and 23, I was like, geez, as soon as I hit the stop recording, it was a sigh of, thank God it's over. Now I need to try and make that into an entertaining video and hide the frustrations and the huffing and puffing of recording it. But this one, it brought the enjoyment back of playing the GP game. There's a lot of things this game has done right, and I think overall the sales for this game is up way over the last 2 years, so I think it's proved that they made a much better game. Just overall, all three classes in the game are pretty decent. Unfortunately, we don't have much content. We don't have any historic bikes, which is a big shame, because that kind of is what brings these games alive. After the first 2, 3, 4 months where you've done all of Motor 3, you've done Motor 2, you've done GP, it's nice to come back and maybe do some online championships with friends in the 500s or the 4 strokes, or even if there's all 2 strokes in the game. But unfortunately, just at the moment with these new games, we're just lacking a bit of content. And again, it's like we're riding here as for me and Aldeguer in the kind of sunset of Qatar, and it's beautiful. It's really nice. The audio is nice. It's crisp, really good. We're just lacking a bit of additional content, some old classic tracks and stuff. We brought in the penalty system into this game. It works well. And overall, 24 for me, it was just a good game. It's enjoyable. We have red flags. It's just a good game. That's kind of where we're at with this one. It was a good game, and as we look back over all the games, there's many things that I want from the old games that we don't have in the new games. And just 24, if we just had a bit more content in terms of bikes, a few more tracks would be nice too. Maybe some different game modes, some different challenge modes, stuff just to kind of break up the game and give it a bit more replayability. At the end of the day, they're machines that go in circles. We need more things to do with them other than time trial, quick race, or career mode or online, because online it can be poor at the best times. But that is kind of what we're getting into. We all kind of know the reasons we buy these games, but we still at the same time like extra challenge modes and stuff to do in the game. And I think the older games really got that nail in the head. Sometimes the physics weren't amazing, or they didn't look the part or whatever, and some weird glitches in the physics. And now I think we're at a point where the games are a bit better. But unfortunately, it's just a bit kind of 2D, these games. There's not much to do on them other than the career mode. And again, I know the career modes have improved over the years. I still think they could be better, but I think for the most part they could improve on time. But I'm going to leave it here. I've held a lot of time for this one. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Let me know in the comments which is your favourite, which is your least favourite. And yeah, I'll see you sometime soon on another MotoGP game. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Slán go fóill.